Your dad was, my goodness, he was so many things. He was a songwriter, a great song stylist, performer. At the Grand Ole Opry, legendary for staying out there until the show would end at midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning. He'd still be there singing, and 2 or 3 in the morning, he'd be out there signing autographs.
He just liked attention.
He had a very special rapport with the fans. I mean, the fans loved him.
He did. Jeannie mentioned a little while ago about the advice that he gave me. The way I remember it was, don't stand in front of me and don't forget your fans. And
in that order.
But he.
What is it? Is it because of your dad and my dad, same way? They never would forget the fans. I like your dad he taught you to go sign autographs for as long as till the last one was gone.
Sure.
Like your dad, I can remember sitting for 3 hours and 4 hours and signing autographs.
I think everybody in this room feels that same way. I think this is why country music was great in the 60s and 50s and 70s, because they did not we did not forget the fans.
It seems to be a dying thing these days.
Marty and I used to go from the Grand Ole Opry House on Saturday night. I never knew when he was going to do it, but he just announced on the 11:30 show. He said, Jeannie Pruitt and I will be over in Opryland signing autographs tonight. And we've been over at 3 o'clock in the morning, lots of mornings, still signing. And Marty used to take that little guitar with him, and the fans that didn't get to hear their special song that night, because he only had just a little time, half an hour show, But all the fans that would come over there, the ones that didn't get to hear their song, he'd take requests till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and just sing one right after the other.
The park
just he and the
police
guitar.
loved
It was wonderful. The police
all the
used to want to run us
they
off.
were crazy about Daddy. They wanted to hang around at the park at 3 o'clock on the Sunday morning.
Yeah, they loved it, but the
He'd
fans
come
loved it.
by
and
line
that's
balls,
what
and at midnight, and we'd get in the car and run out to his office, and he'd sit there and sing till 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know when he slept.
He'd only slept.
He did.
He was 57 when he died, and if you took the amount of hours in the day that he slept and kind of averaged it out over, the normal person would sleep 8 hours a day maybe. He probably slept 3 hours. He was probably a 90-year-old man as far as the amount of time that he was actually alive.
He was just an insomniac.
He was. Mama said that was because the first time he ever worked the Opry, when he was invited in 1952 sometime, he drove from Phoenix to Nashville straight, did the Opry, and drove straight back because he still had a job he had to get back to. And she said he never slept after that. He never slept right, So I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but I'm sure, it didn't help. But, it's funny because, you told a story. He loved to be a champion of the little guy. If he saw some big shot somewhere in town that was kind of getting down on a small artist or something like that, he would, at a restaurant or something like that around there, he would light into him so quick, But he always had an affinity for the guy that was getting picked on, and he always did everything he could to protect him,
Was it Jimmy Dickens? Who was it at the Opry that helped your dad get here?
Daddy had a TV show. It started out with a radio show in Phoenix. He had worked the nightclub circuit there starting about 1948 or so, and worked there for a couple of years and was starting to kind of get a name for himself. He heard this guy on the radio station one day, and had a 15-minute show where he just sang cowboy songs, and Dad said, "Man, that guy's bad. He can't." He said, "I can sing better than that." So he was laying brick at the time. He told the guy he was working for he had to go to the dentist in Phoenix, and he went home, got his guitar, strapped it on the back of his motorcycle, drove to Mesa from Glendale, which is about 45 minutes at the time, I guess, and walked into the station and said, "I want to see the owner." And the girl at the desk said, "Well, he's not here. He's in Denver," And the owner was probably never there. He's probably worth $40 million. But she said, "Well, maybe you'd like to see the station manager." He said, "Yeah, that's who I want to see." And so I guess he was just, I don't know if he was drunk or what, but at the time he was drinking, so I can say that. But I don't know. I don't think he was drunk, but I think he had some courage there. He bolstered himself up and said, I want to go in and I want to sing for you, because the guy you've heard the guy you got on your show is not very good." And he did Strawberry Roan, and the guy liked him and hired him and fired the other guy.
Good job.
I don't know. But he, from that point...
He's laying bricks somewhere.
Yeah, maybe so.
He's some
At that point,
guy in Phoenix.
yeah. At that point, the radio station turned into a TV station. This was around 1950 or so, 51. And the guy the station manager said, you know, to keep your radio job, you're going to have to do the TV show too. And of course, Daddy was petrified. Anybody that knew Daddy back then knew that he was not very gregarious on stage back when he first got in the business. And all he did was he had a list of songs in his shirt pocket. He'd pull them out and sing, and never said a word. He'd just sit there and sing with him and the guitar for 15 minutes. And one day, Jimmy Dickens was coming through town, and he was doing a show, Grand Ole Opry show, and he went on to the TV show to plug the show. And he heard Daddy singing and liked it and thought he sang pretty good. When he got to L.A., at the time Jimmy was on CBS, and he told Uncle Art Satherley there was a guy in Phoenix that he needed to go see and listen to. And combination of that with the fact that the station owner, I forget exactly, Harry Stone was somehow involved with the station. Either he owned the station or was the manager, but he had been connected here with the Opry, through the years. He got him in touch with, or got Fred Rose to come out to listen to some of his songs, or sent some songs to him. Fred Rose signed him up to a writing contract with Acuff Rose. He got, and also got him the first guest spot on the Opry. And then when the Sony deal came through, or the CBS deal came through, that kind of clinched it. We were moving to Nashville at that point, and we moved here in January of 1953. And I think he joined the Opry on the 19th of January of 53.
Me and Ronnie know each other we've known each other for a while, worked shows, but one time I had some songs that I wrote, and I went down to, his dad had a little recording studio down off Music Row, and I went in there and was putting down these songs, and his dad came in. And he came in, and he was just covered in grease and dirt and just looked awful, and pulled this jacket off, and I went over and introduced myself, to him, and said, I worked some shows with your son. And I said, how'd you get off filthy? And he said, well, I was out on the interstate, and these three elderly women were out there broke down. And he said, I just hate to see somebody broke down on the side of the road, nobody helping them. He pulled over and got out and changed their tire for them. And I was sitting there, I said, man, that's fantastic. A big star like Marty Robbins would get out and change somebody's tire. And he said, well, I hated to see him stuck there, but he said, also at the races, I have pit guys that change my tires, and I kind of wanted to see if I could change one. And about that time, we both looked over at his jacket and looked at each other and said, I think you need to stick to driving.
What did your mom think when all of a sudden the singing cowboy became a race car driver?
She didn't like it too much, but at that point, she kind of knew it was not going to make much difference what she thought. So she kind of just stayed away. She went to the races a few times and made her nervous a wreck, so she just decided out of sight, out of mind was the best policy there, because if she was watching him, she knew she'd be a nervous wreck. So
I've got to tell my favorite, one of the favorite things. He was very serious about his driving. He wasn't out there for the fun of it, no. But the big guys let him run with them until he come in about second or third in a big race, and right after the race they had a meeting of the drivers. Marty's sitting there, and they all had a spokesman. He got up and says, "Marty, we don't play and sing, and you don't run in the top 10. If you want to run with us, you just run in the back."
I'll tell you some of the best advice Marty ever gave me as a songwriter. He said, Marty, look at it when you write it, sleep on it that night, get up and look at it again the next day, and if you can think of another word in the English language that sounds better than the ones you put in it, take that one out and put it in. And I think that's the reason he wrote such great lyrics, because he really studied his own work as well as other people's works, I'm sure, but Marty had probably some of the most original melodies of any artist that I ever heard sing or watched write. He always had his own special brand of melody.
Marty's responsible for me being a recording artist. He really is, because back in 54, 55, I don't remember when, I was living in North Long Beach, and I hocked everything I had in the world. We got $35 and rented a studio in Long Beach called Garrison Studio, and I got Wynn Stewart's band with Ralph Mooney and Pete and all of them, and went in the studio, and I only had enough money for 1 hour studio time. And I did a demo on I Couldn't Keep From Crying, one of Marty's first records, because I was a huge Marty fan. And Speedy West took that demo to Ken Nelson at Capitol, and he signed me up. And I never got to tell Marty that. Never did.
Now, Marty Robbins, one time, my father had died in 1963, and I was about 3 months old, and Marty Robbins wrote a song, and it's called Two Little Boys. He wrote it about me and my brother. And ever since I've been 3 months old, I've been receiving BMI checks. So I want to thank Marty for that.
Wow.
He
Your
loved
mama
Hawk.
recorded that, right?
Yes, she did.
Yeah.
Marty loved Hawkshaw. They really
were
respected.
big buddies. I know that. Ronnie, what's your favorite Marty Robbins song?
I'd have to say probably "Man Walks Among Us," which I did not prepare that. So it's just a song he wrote about the desert and how civilization has just kind of just encroached on it, and how the desert will one day be gone. And you know, if you go out to Phoenix nowadays, you can just about pretty well see that that's happened. You know, but it's just he's singing the song from the animal's perspective. You know, and it's just a neat, pretty song. You know, but I don't know. There's so many. You know, every one of them have got a different meaning to me in my life. You know, like when El Paso, when he wrote El Paso, we were in a Cadillac, which, you know, I think Singing the Blues had paid for, but which he didn't write. But no, we were going to Phoenix. I want to say 57, probably 57, 58, and I can just remember him being in the back seat, and I was in the front seat. Mama was driving, and we were going through El Paso, and you know, I didn't really realize even where we were at the time, because when you're driving for a couple of days, you know, you don't really know where you're at after a while. So, but he's writing the song down, and all these words are coming out, and it's just like, you know, as fast as he can write them down, you know, he's singing them, you know. And I thought, man, that is a neat song, you know. And I, you know, looking back, I bet there's probably 7 or 8 minutes of song. I'm sure he discarded a lot of the verses, but you know, I have no idea for sure. But I just remember when he would sing that, you know, for 100 miles, I guess, just singing it and rewriting it and changing things, you know, and we'd get to like Lordsburg, New Mexico, he'd put it down, then going back through and come back, he'd get his tablet and he'd start writing again, and I just never thought anything more about it until about a year later, and it's out on an album, you know, and of course you know, they did that whole album in, I think, 4 hours.
The Gunfighter?
The Gunfighter album they did in 4 hours. They did El Paso in 3 takes, and this was with like a 3-track. They had the left track, right track, and vocal track was down the middle. And I think it was one of the first 3 tracks. I think. I think, you know, before that, I think it'd been a lot of 2-track
Bill?
stuff.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
what I really loved about that at the time, that was around the time I think they made the rules. All the disc jockeys made the rules that if anybody, I'm sure you heard this too, and that the records could not be over a certain amount of time. Remember that? And that's why, I mean, we had to go down to where, like, Last State didn't have an instrumental. So many of mine, you know, we would just like sing them through and that was it. And I just always was just, yes, you know, when Marty did El Paso, I was like, I thought that was for all the little guys too, you know, like take that. I mean, because it was right in that time.
Well,
And,
the disc
that became a
jockeys
good
liked
thing.
it too, because they'd play El Paso and go down the hall to the little
Right,
boys'
it,
room.
came, it was great, yeah.
CBS actually did a cut-down version. They cut out a verse or 2 of it, and so many people complained about it that they started playing the album cut.
Being shot, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know the thing about it is, you know, what a lot of people never realized about this, and I'm sure Daddy would agree that, you know, the cowboy didn't get shot because he killed the guy. He got shot because he stole the horse.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Boy, I thought that was going to go a lot better.
Sing the song for us. Sing El Paso.
We'll give it a try. I don't have any harmony here, so
You got a bunch of harmony.
See, that's what. See, I wanted. Did you see how that worked? That worked pretty well. Out in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. Nighttime would find me in Rose's cantina. Music would play and Felina would whirl. Blacker than night were the eyes of Felina, wicked and evil while casting a spell. My love was deep for this Mexican maiden. I was in love, but in vain I could tell. One night a wild young cowboy came in,
wild as the West Texas wind. Dashing and daring, a drink he was sharing with wicked Felina, the girl that I love. So in anger I challenged his right for the love of this maiden. Down went his hand for the gun that he wore. My challenge was answered in less than a heartbeat. The handsome young stranger lay dead on the floor. Just for a moment I stood there in silence, shocked by the foul evil deed I had done. Many thoughts raced through my mind as I stood there. I had but one chance, and that was to run. Out through the back door of Roses I ran, out where the horses were tied. I caught a good one, it looked like it could run. Up on its back and away I did ride, just as fast as I could from the West Texas town of El Paso out to the Badlands of New Mexico. Back in El Paso my life would be worthless. Everything's gone in life, nothing is left. It's been so long since I've seen the young maiden. My love is stronger than my fear of death. I saddled up and away I did go, riding alone in the dark. Maybe tomorrow a bullet will find me. Tonight nothing's worse than this pain in my throat. And at last here I am on the hill overlooking El Paso. I can see Rose's cantina below. My love is strong and it pushes me onward. Down off the hill to Felina I go. Off to my right, I see 3 mounted cowboys. Off to my left, ride a couple or more. Shouting and shooting, I can't let them catch me. I have to make it to Rose's back door. Something is dreadfully wrong, for I feel a deep burning pain in my side. I am trying to stay in the saddle. I'm getting weary, unable to ride. But my love for Felina is strong, and I rise where I've fallen. Though I am weary, I can't stop to rest. I see the white puff of smoke from the rifle. I feel the bullet go deep in my chest. From out of nowhere, Felina has found me, kissing my cheek as she kneels by my side. Cradled by 2 loving arms that I'll die for, one little kiss and Felina, goodbye.
Hey, if you like that one, you're going to love this one. Or this one.